Good afternoon and welcome to VBC 2020. This is your first time joining in on the presentations. Welcome and thank you. If you're back, thank you again for coming back and joining us today. First, I'd like to give a couple of shout outs and thank yous to Stout Tanks and Brewmation for putting on this event. And Jenna Hippa and Aaron O'Leary for all the work they've done in the background and helping us get to where we needed to be on this. And so I want to thank them first for all the hard work that they put into this. My name is Kevin Tweet. I'm with Thermaline. We're a manufacturer of plate and tube heat exchangers. I'm one of the technical sales engineers here. And today we're going to be going over maintaining your heat exchangers for peak performance. It's not a lengthy presentation, so I'm not going to bore you all to death today, but very informative. I hope you get something out of it. Please feel free if you have any questions to throw those in. We'll go ahead and wait till the end of the presentation and kind of do a Q&A time. So don't feel like we're going to leave you out if you ask some during the presentation. We'll definitely get back to those. Also, we'll throw in some polls, just a couple questions for you guys, and kind of see who our audience is and just experience you guys have too as well. So we'll go ahead and start this. We'll go right into our slides this afternoon and just going over heat exchanger real quick. I mean, because we may have some people from the QA department or QC department that may just come across these once in a while. And so just a plate and frame heat exchanger. We have a dual stage or a single section. Either we're basically cooling that wort from 212 down to that 68 to 52 degrees, as everyone knows and is aware of. But we're going to be looking at the importance of maintaining it, as oftentimes it can be neglected. Sometimes it kind of gets tucked away in a corner or underneath some scaffolding or somewhere in the back, and so we want to make sure that it's front of mind and we're servicing and maintaining that on a regular PM schedule. So we'll go ahead and look at a few things that we see that can cause some issues and why we want to maintain these heat exchangers. And these may come from just a lack of cleaning or inspecting your heat exchanger. One major one is fouling on the plates. So this can come from water, just if you're using a well and there's a lot of calcium or minerals in the water, you can get what's called scaling on your plates. And what this will do is it'll cause a negative effect on your heat transfer rate. So you're not going to be as efficient. So one good sign is if you're seeing the efficiency of the heat exchanger starting to drop, that may be one of the issues. So it's a good thing to open up and inspect that and make sure nothing's going on there as well. Some things is untreated water not being treated properly can cause some bio buildup. So another reason to open these up. Gasket deteriorating over time due to the CIP process, or just the longevity, time, and temperature and concentration of that CIP. You can see the gaskets starting to fail. There is no set life expectancy on these gaskets. There's no timeline I can give you. I can't say it's 3 years, it's 5 years. They're going to last you 10 years. It's really going to come down to that CIP process. And so when you're opening these up, some of the things that you may see and be able to tell if you're having gasket deterioration is if you rub your hand across the gasket, you'll get a little bit of residual, black residual, and that could be a great sign that those gaskets are starting to break down, whether they're EPDM or NBR gaskets. So that's something to be looking out for. In extreme cases, the gasket's breaking apart and you're actually finding it in your wort. So that's why we want to get in there and open these things up and take a look at them. Also, cracks or pinholes in the plates. These can come from just the plates, just the life of the plates, right? There's contact points where the two plates are touching each other. And there becomes what's called a corrosion point. And that's just basically hot fluid temperature running over that point over many years. It can create a weak point and end up creating a pinhole, which leads to that cross contamination where your glycol could be coming over into your beer wort side or your water. So there's several ways to check and inspect for those. You can do a dye penetrant test. There's some pressure differential testing that you can do, but there's several ways to check those. But we're going to make sure we add those into our SOP procedures, and we'll get into those as well. Also, different type of fouling, and things we see in plate heat exchanger is your mash or your wort or your hops can get caught up in that plate heat exchanger. And over time, you can get foul smells or you can get off taste in your beer. So this is another reason. A lot of guys will, flush their heat exchanger both ways to try to get that out as much as possible. Checking CIP velocities, make sure those are up and where they need to be to make sure we're flushing those out. But you'll see in a couple photos some of the residual, some of the holdup that sometimes occurs in those plate heat exchangers. So we want to be aware of that. We want to be aware that there's a potential of hops or grain plugging up in that heat exchanger, which I'm sure a lot of people are. We do have a few videos that we'll go into. Before we do that, we're going to go ahead and add a poll in as well. And we're just going to kind of see what, see where everybody's at and just kind of see how many have actually opened up a heat exchanger. Had that fun experience. I mean, it's definitely some work, and so it'd be cool to see how many of y'all have gotten in there and dug in there and opened that up. So we'll throw that in there. In the meantime, we're going to play this video, and it just kind of gives us an idea of opening up that heat exchanger. Gives a few tips. We do have all these videos available and accessible on our line on our website. So if you would like to get on our website and check those out, those are open and available to you. So we'll go ahead and play that for you.
Part 1 of Thermaline's plate heat exchanger maintenance will show you how to disassemble a plate heat exchanger. Shut down and valve off all fluids to and from the heat exchanger and follow your company's lockout, tagout procedure as necessary. Drain and relieve all pressure to the heat exchanger and allow the unit to cool down before opening. Start by loosening one bolt at a time, loosening approximately 1/4 inch at a time before moving to the next, and working in an even pattern, zigzagging up and down. Careful not to over-loosen any bolt as damage may occur to the head. Once all the bolts are removed, slowly slide the movable head back, exposing the plate pack. If you are opening a model T4 or T8, be aware these models the plates rest between the guide rails. The plates may fall out if not secured. To aid in reassembly, it is best to number all the plates in reverse order, one at a time on the top as they are removed. If you have any questions, please visit our website or call.
Great. So the poll's in. We have 91% of the attendees today have never opened up a heat exchanger. So this is great. I mean, this means this presentation is going to be useful for all of you, and hopefully you all get something from this. We have the next video is going to be what actually to be looking for when opening that heat exchanger. You're going to see how to check the elasticity of the gaskets and basically looking over those plates as well. So we'll go ahead and play that at this time for you.
Part 2 of Thermaline's plate heat exchanger maintenance series will show you how to clean the plates. First, remove the gasket. Gaskets can be reused depending on their condition. pinching a gasket will reveal its general condition. If the gasket is going to be reused, wipe it down with soap and water and hang it in a clean, dry area. Method of cleaning the plates is dependent on the foulants. Loose debris can be washed with soap, water, and a soft bristled brush or a high-pressure washer. Do not use abrasives or hard bristled brushes. Wash the plates until all debris is removed, paying close attention to the gasket groove. In severe cases, a hot acid and caustic bath are used to break down stubborn foulants and adhesives. Thermaline and Thermaline's partners worldwide provide chemical cleaning and complete rebuild services. Visit our website to find one closest to you. If you have any questions, please visit our website or call.
Great. Like I said, those videos are available as well. We do have those for you, and it is a 9-part series that goes through the plate heat exchanger and opening and inspecting, things to look for. So that's available to you as well. We also asked another poll while that video was playing, how often do you service your heat exchanger? And we got a good amount, 75% said they're doing it once a year, which is great. That's what we highly recommend doing. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at some of the recommendations that we make for your plate heat exchangers. One thing you want to do is enter a set date and time in your SOPs for annual cleaning. A lot of times, if it's not written in stone, if it's not somewhere, it gets forgotten. And so we want to make sure we get that in our SOPs so we know that there's a documented time when we are to open and inspect that heat exchanger. And we do recommend that being annually, or if it's a new heat exchanger, after your first batch, go ahead and after your CIP process, opening that heat exchanger up and make sure you're happy with it. Make sure you're happy with your cleaning process. That way you're not letting anything hang up in there. And that's purely for you and making sure the CIP process is working. Kind of a rule of thumb that we go by here is it's a great idea to just have 10% of your gaskets in stock there at your facility, just in case. If there is something that happens, pressure, and you blow out a gasket, or you have to open the heat exchanger and you tear a gasket, you have some readily available, and you're not having to wait for us to get you gaskets or any downtimes. So it's important that you have those on hand and a few extra plates just in case. We also recommend that anytime you make any changes to your CIP process, whether it's the flow, whether it's the concentration levels of your CIP, any changes, you want to make sure you open that unit back up again and making sure those are where it needs to be. You're happy and content with that as well. What comes with your heat exchanger also is a set of drawings, and those drawings basically go over everything about that heat exchanger, what type of gasket you have, plate orientation, gasket types, anything and everything you need to know, closing dimensions. You want to make sure you're holding on to those. Put those in a safe place, because it may come a time where you have to open that unit up in a surprise moment. You want to make sure you have those on hand. And that really does seem like a no-duh thought, but it's important that those are held on to as well. Another thing we recommend is, possibly consider installing a filter or a Y strainer pre-heat exchanger. So you are catching and filtering out any of those leftover hops or grain and preventing the heat exchanger from plugging. So those are definitely some steps you can take to ensuring that your heat exchanger is maintained for peak performance. We'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and look and see if anybody has any questions. It is pretty much done with that presentation there for you all. So we'll see, and if anybody has any questions, and go over those with you all. I appreciate you all joining in. We do have a question here: is what chemical should be used for CIP? Really, what we recommend is that you talk with your chemical supplier on that, because they're going to be able to tell you your concentration levels. They're going to be able to compare the compatibility of what type of gasket you have, whether it's EPDM or MBR. Let's see if there's anyone else. All righty. Give it just a second here, see if any more questions come in at this time. Great. It looks like not. It looks like we answered most any and all questions. That's perfect. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for it's been a great week. VBC was a great experience, and hope you all received some great content from it, and it was a great learning experience for everybody. So we want to thank once again Style Tanks and Brewmation and all the hard work everybody put into this. So it's been a great week. Thank you all.